Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of the Cut Inside podcast. With the group stages almost coming to an end, we're doing a review of all the groups. We've already done two episodes where we've spoken about Group A, B, C, and D. And in this episode, we'll be going through Groups E and Group F. So, starting with the Group of Death, uh, Group E, I think, yeah, as we called it the group of death, it certainly did take a big victim. Germany, again, I think this is the second World Cup in a row that they are knocked out in the group stage itself. Uh, for being the four times champions, I think it's a little embarrassing for them. Having a manager like Hansi Flick and him being unable to get a tune out of a pretty star-studded team. I would say it is something that the DFB really needs to focus, have a look on because the current system just doesn't seem to be working. Rohit, what do you think about Germany's unexpected exit?
Oh, it's crazy, man. This is probably the craziest group of the entire tournament because at the end of 70 minutes, I think Japan and Costa Rica were going through, which was
Yeah,
absolutely mind-boggling considering that you have Spain and Germany in that as well. And it's not even a group where, it's not a group of death. Let's be honest about it. It's not a group of death, and you wouldn't have thought that Spain and Germany would have struggled till the dying
hmm
minutes to qualify. And especially Germany's exit. See, like it just so shows how cutthroat the tournament is because like you would have expected Spain and Germany to draw, and you would have expected Germany to beat Costa Rica. It was
correct.
just that one loss against Japan, which can happen to any side. Like that's similarly exactly what happened to Germany in 2018 as well. So it's just Germany has to find a way to start their tournaments off better because
hmm
it's been a recurring problem for them, and like you said, they need to revamp their entire system. In my opinion, yes, you might have the best coaches in the world, you might have the best players playing across the best leagues, but if you're the way you want to play, or the the just your identity, Germany lacks an identity, man. Like back in the
hmm
day, Germany had this identity of tiring their opponents out. Like they used to be ruthless, and that was
hmm
what Germany was known for. And right now they missed so many chances against Japan. They were so good in the first half against Japan, and nobody would have guessed that Japan would have come back into the game and beaten them 2-1 after that. And Havertz even got a goal which was ruled offside after that. And until that point, you would have thought that okay, it's Germany's going to cruise. But
hmm
yeah, it's just how sport works. You don't capitalize on your chances, you're going to fail. Germany really lacks a number nine. Like Thomas Muller, I think since
hmm
2014, he hasn't scored or assisted in the World Cup, which is crazy because I in 2014 he was on his way to becoming
The
breaking all
top.
sorts of records.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
at the age of 24, he was world champion. He had like maximum number of goals or some crazy stat. I don't know, but they really missed a Miroslav Klose. They've been missing
hmm
that for the last two World Cups, and all the Fulkrug and all did well. Havertz, okay, he scored the occasional goals, but the number of chances they missed was too much, and that's eventually what it came down to, right? Spain beat Costa Rica 7-0, and
hmm
Japan, Germany couldn't be that ruthless, so that's why they lost out on goal difference.
Coming to the Hansi Flick admirer, Devashish, in our,
Yeah,
when we were doing our predictions, you seem
Finalist.
to back, Hansi
yeah,
Flick.
they were my second favorites. Yeah, I concede that. But one thing about the Japan game, actually, the Japan coach, don't know his name, and
Hmm.
I think even if I knew, I would struggle to pronounce mostly. So it's Hayama Moriyasu, whatever it is. But in that game, Germany in the first half were excellent,
Hmm.
and Japan were playing with a back four. Japan shifted to a back three.
Hmm.
Germany down tooled. Germany could have done better, but don't underestimate the importance of that change. He actually created a shield. German fullbacks were doing well. They were dominating everything. He created overloads. He got two players in the inside channels, and then also got wing backs to actually cover the wide lanes. Then also got two midfielders at the same time. Also had three defenders. He made these changes. Germany
Hmm.
couldn't cope up with that. And Hansi Flick, it's a bit like Scaloni. I backed Argentina because of Scaloni. Then he drops Lisandro Martinez, Julian Alvarez, McAllister, Enzo Fernandez. How is Mokoko not starting? We can say they don't have Miroslav Klose. Yeah, of course, but in that way, man, Italy don't have Cannavaro, but that doesn't mean they can't, like France don't have Zidane. That's not the point. Like players will get older. Mokoko is there, Ademi is there. I'm a huge admirer of Thomas Muller. Don't get me wrong; he's an excellent footballer. His spatial awareness, his intelligence is very good. But you cannot tell me that if you have Musiala with Mokoko, with Sane, and Sane didn't start the first two games either. It felt like Muller had to start, and even to start Sane, they dropped who? Just a minute. They dropped Havertz. So I get that, and Havertz actually coming on against Costa Rica did change the game a lot. But I cannot get my head around how can you not play Mokoko? And in the last game, there was a spell when Germany were playing well against Costa Rica. That changed of getting Kimmich as a right back and then getting Gundogan and Goretzka was a good change. Even against Spain, they knew they needed more men in the midfield. He
Mhm.
actually went away from that 4-2-3-1 and got a 4-3-3, got three midfielders in there. He did try to change some things, but it's not good enough, man. You cannot not play players like Mokoko and then expect to just get away with it.
I think, this, looking at this German team, I think it really reminded me of a team, like, like a small nation that just has one star player and they just expect him to do everything. This is what this German team looked like. Musiala was, I think he was the only player who came out of this German, the squad that went to the World Cup with any sort of, dignity or anything to show for himself. Uh, I think he had completed 19 dribbles in that match against Costa Rica, which was for the most by any player in the World Cup in a World Cup game. So I think them expecting, Musiala to just pick up the ball and dribble past six, seven players and just have this Maradona moment and score a goal out of nothing is not really a tactic, I would say. I think it's just they just lack any sort of, they do have players, but it seemed like
It's
Flick
a
just
group of
couldn't get a
individual
team.
rather than a unit.
Exactly,
It's a group of
exactly.
individual doing whatever they want rather than a unit which has a plan, which has patterns of play. There was no patterns of play really.
And
Just
even with
quickly,
like having your even their defense like look really suspect. Like Sula, Schlotterbeck, Rudiger, like all three of them, all through the game they were just really sloppy on the ball. And you know, having a team like Costa Rica score two goals past you is like, it's embarrassing. It's
I
truly
And I
think
think
this is
it
the
comes
weakest
down to the
German backline I've
managers.
seen.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. I think this German backline, we can say it's weak, and of course, it's not great. But what I
Mhm.
do mean is, these same players play well for the clubs, or they play well in a certain. It's
Yeah,
manager's
but that's just
job to.
individuals, though.
If no, no, what I'm saying is there is always going to be a part of the pitch where you're weak. A manager's job is to find a way to actually get the best where you have strengths. But then, I don't understand this. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm right. But I think Rudiger, excellent for Chelsea for quite a while. Sula was one of the best emerging German defenders, and we cannot deny that. That's why he went to Bayern Munich. Then he had Ginter as well. He had Klosterman as well. I think I think it's easy for me to say now. Maybe shifting to a back three with wing backs could have been slightly better. It could have gotten more players and more security. But yeah, there's no excuse, man. I think Hansi Flick needs to be under serious threat now after that.
I think, yeah, I think, enough about the teams that are out. I think, looking at Spain, I think again, really didn't really impress me. I
Classic
think,
Spain, isn't it?
yeah, I think, it's not really classic Spain in the sense that, they do play with that. They make you feel like they are dominating the game with amount of ball they have. But they're not real. They really lack that incisive, that cutting, and that last ball is always missing for them. And even they are really missing like a clinical, like an elite number nine. In the past they had the likes of Raul, but more uh David Villa and
David
Torres
Villa.
at the spearheading that world class midfield that they have. They do have really good midfielders, and Pedri, Gavi, Busquets, even Rodri playing at centre back. I think he's almost pretty much playing in midfield with the amount of ball they have. But I think, yeah, again,
I
like,
think Spain, in my opinion, like got away with it because they have
mm,
literally gone away. Before the tournament, I've been backing all the good coaches, and all the good coaches have been like, Devashish, I'm here to prove you wrong.
yeah,
Luis, Spain weren't qualified. Spain weren't qualified. Luis Enrique rested players. So he
mhm.
literally rested player for a match that he wasn't going to be a part of. I remember Pep Guardiola did that against Lyon in a Champions League quarterfinal, where he rested players to actually play against Bayern Munich and didn't play. Like, who do you think you are, man? Who do you think you are? He literally rested players. And they used to play with a false nine, with Morata coming in. So what happens is when you play with a false nine, this actually Liverpool did this of in the start of the season with Nunes and Firmino. You start with a false nine, and I'll finish this very quickly. It forces teams to actually just narrow down the space, be a bit more compact, to come closer and deny space for him to turn. And then you throw a completely different kind of striker, it just wraps the whole team apart. And now the difference is so much, the distance between the defense and midfield is so much that then players can pick up that position. And Morata actually did that for Spain, to rest players when you are not even through against a team that has beaten Germany. I mean, Enrique was very close to becoming another Hansi Flick here. We could have spoken about him in the similar way, because these decisions, man, are disgraceful. You cannot rest players. You cannot play Cesar Azpilicueta and think of Laporte was their best defender. Like, you can drop Rodri, man, not Laporte. He's literally excellent. I don't get it, man. And I think they got away with it. I think Enrique must be thinking, man, I'm not gonna rest players when I'm not through. Who do you think you are? Huh? Who do you think you are? क्या समझते हो बे खुद को? नहीं हुए हो ना आगे. Just play your best players, man.
Okay, perfect. I think yeah, that's about it for Group E. Now, speaking about Group F, another big victim that this group took was, finally the golden generation of Belgium has been laid to rest. I think this is the end of the line for them. Uh, I think, it's really unfortunate that they have gone out with a whimper. Although, like, they did have a really aging backline, but they did have some exciting young players and they did have a good mix of players, but ultimately, I think that Lukaku performance has to go down as, one of the worst single 45 minutes that a player has had.
And then breaking glasses.
That's why I think all that aggression that he showed on
See,
on that little panel that he broke, if he showed that much clinicality in, in front of goal, they would have actually gone through.
See,
Rohit?
although I agree that Lukaku's misses and all cost Belgium a spot in the round of 16, you have to understand the first two games they didn't play really well without him either. They were
Hmm.
struggling, and you'd have to pin the entire debacle down on Martinez, man. Like, I don't know how they managed to stick with him after in 2018 they should have gone on to the finals. They should have been the favorites to win
Yeah,
that tournament. Like, they are favorites every tournament, that's different. But in 2018 they had the spot which was
yeah,
Hmm.
in
they
its
did.
prime. They had a Hazard in its prime, a De Bruyne in its prime, and forget that. Like, you pick players like Vertonghen and Alderweireld, and they're not playing in the elite leagues anymore. They're
Yeah.
not players who are in the prime, and you keep picking them again and again just because they performed for you in the past doesn't mean that it just shows Martinez's lack of awareness for talent in Belgium. Jeremy Doku had an excellent Euros in
Hmm.
last year. He literally ripped defenses apart. Even in the game they lost against Italy, Jeremy Doku made such a big difference, and he manages to bench him. He benches Trossard. Yes, I agree. Hazard is a great player. Hazard has not been in form for the last 2 years, man. Like, who are you trying to play? Playing for 60 minutes. Why didn't you just start Trossard, or why didn't you just start Jeremy Doku? Who are like, at the moment, they're better players. That's just the crux of it. And it's just stupid that he even bothered to pick Batshuayi in his lineup. I know Batshuayi scored, but the number of chances Batshuayi missed in that first game, they would have even lost against Canada. Canada missed the penalty. That's the only
Hmm.
reason why Belgium even got anything out of the game. They were dire for large parts of that game. So it's deserved, man. I just feel bad for
Even
the players more than anyone else,
Hmm.
because the Belgium Football Federation has majorly fucked it up by sticking with Martinez for all this while.
Absolutely. Like, the tiny, tiny country that Belgium is, the fact that they've been able to, put together a team with the quality that they have front to back. I think it's really unfortunate that they ultimately decide to stick with the wrong man, and that's ended up with them, pretty much wasting their entire golden generation. I think the fact that Witzel played any minutes at this World Cup at his age right now is unforgivable. I think with Tielemans and even Onana for that matter now, I think these sort fatal mistakes ultimately cost them, and yeah, really unfortunate.
Yeah,
And
Matt, like Belgium will be like, I have a question for Belgian fans and people who want to defend Belgium here. What Belgium don't have? What do they not have in their squad? maybe they could have had a slightly better defense. But again, man, you are going to have a part which is going to be weak. That's the manager's job. You are going to have a part of the pitch where you're weaker. So you make up for that by playing a style of football where that part of the pitch is not being targeted. It's basic sense, man. I know it. Roberto Martinez must know this. The point is, man, they can have all this. Our squad is aging. Trossard is an elite player. Very soon he's going to move to a very big club. He's going to be excellent. Liverpool have reportedly a couple of days ago rejected a chance of signing him. Man, why not? I mean, who do you have? Who are you rejecting? You don't even have anyone on the level left wing. And then after that, you have got Dendonkar. People might not know him. Another solid player, can play in multiple positions. Onana for Everton has been very good. Torgan Hazard is a good player. Tielemans is excellent. And then you have De Bruyne. He's 31. He's not 36.
Yeah.
In the defense, you've got Timothy Castagna, very good player. You've got Faiz, very good player. Munir, only 31, excellent player. Okay, Vertonghen and Alderweireld are old. Let's be mindful about it. Alderweireld is 33 years old. Defenders at that age actually play their best football. So many defenders, because they know the game, they can read the game, they can play out from the back. And then goalkeepers, they've got Thibaut Courtois, who just won the Champions League, who literally won the Champions League on his own in that final. What do they not have? What do you don't have, Germany? Yeah, you're making excuses for it. I mean, you have everything. They've got everything.
What they don't
That's the
have is a manager with any
manager.
sense. Okay, I think you know what? I think that was disappointing to see that all of these news coming out, and while Belgium's dressing room was completely in tatters, the Moroccan dressing room on the other hand completely united. It was like really like it was a real underdog story of them finally, putting together a team who have the capability and who actually delivered on their the promise that they showed. I think the last World Cup also they had a pretty good team, but they went out in the group stages. But this time, they had I don't know if you guys watched all their matches, but Sofian Amrabat, what a player! I think he's genuinely been one of the most impressive players I've seen at this World Cup. Absolutely ran their midfield, and they've got Hakimi, Bofal, and Ziyech in their team, who are those who have that ability to create, that little moment of magic. Even Ziyech's goal the other day to chip the goalkeeper from like 35 yards out. I think they're gonna be really interesting to watch in the next round. And uh, what do you guys think about Croatia? I think ultimately Croatia just snuck in the second place. What do you think about
There's this
Croatia?
one about Morocco. I don't know if you know the stat, but they've kept 8 clean sheets in a row. 8 clean sheets in a row, which is crazy, especially after the turmoil that they had. Like, Ziyech retired from
Yeah, yeah,
Moroccan
yeah,
duty under the previous managers, but the moment they changed the manager, the team has become united. You don't
hmm
keep clean sheets if you play as individuals. You keep clean sheets if
true.
you play as a unit, and that's what Morocco has done better than any other team that are like labeled underdogs. Like, Morocco has good players, but they don't have the best players. They don't have players where you'd say, okay, they are favorites to go through the
True.
group or something. They were not expected to qualify, but they played as a team. And you have these players like Bufal, Sofiane Bufal, Hakim Ziyech. They're not team players. I watched
hmm
Hakim Ziyech for 3 years under Chelsea. He's not a team player. He plays well. He plays for himself. He's a flat player, but he in this tournament every single game he's played for the team. He's played. He's worked hard. He's run up and down the channels. And same with the rest of the squad as well. Like you said, Amrabat has been excellent. I remember Amrabat. I don't remember he played in a Prem.
Watford,
Yeah, exactly.
Watford,
Like I don't remember
Watford.
him being this good, man. Like he's been excellent in this tournament. So this is what the World Cup throws up. All these players who you've seen before playing for these small teams, but actually, they have quality. Of course, they have quality. If you're going to play for a Premier League club like Watford, you are going to have quality. But when you're watching the Premier League, you always try to take a dig at these players. Oh,
Yeah,
they just play for Watford and stuff.
Guys, finally coming to Croatia. I think again, I think at least for me, they nothing really memorable that stood out. I think Guardiol was one real
yeah,
player
exactly. Yes.
who really
Bro, the tackle
impressed
in
me.
the final game, Lukaku
And
was
you know,
almost at
I don't know if it's agreed, but I was reading that Chelsea were in
Chelsea.
talks with
Yeah,
him,
yeah.
and with the
Very young,
get
very
all
young,
done.
very young.
Yeah.
21, 22.
I think, if he goes to Chelsea, it's just going to be like, every FIFA 20 career mode ever, where Chelsea just signs every defender, every world's best centre back ends up at Chelsea in that same
And
bunch.
we'll still concede 4 against Brighton.
Okay, I think moving on to the knockouts, it's going to be Morocco versus Spain. and Japan versus Croatia. Guys, so first coming to Morocco against Spain. I think honestly, I feel I see this match as out of all of the knockout matches so far, I feel this is the one where there is that potential for a major upset
Upset,
because
yeah.
I feel like, the togetherness and just the desire and the grit that this Moroccan team has shown and the special players that they have, even El Nasseri has started scoring. I think they have the ability to withstand you know, the waves of attack that Spain put on. But they also have that, those incisive players who have the ability to make the difference in the final third when they create that one chance. I feel that they have the players to take it, and I honestly I think Morocco is going to go through
Agree, agree. I just agree.
here.
That's it. I just agree.
Yeah.
I, I do, I do. I think Spain is just overrated, man. Like, yes, we predicted them to reach the finals against Argentina and stuff in our predictor, but I feel like that happened only because the three of us predicted it together. I don't think Spain would have made the finals otherwise. And yeah, like Spain just takes too long to settle into a tournament, man. They just don't show those killer vibes. From see, they won the World Cup in 2010 by losing the first game, fine, but you knew who Spain were. I'm still trying to figure out like whether Spain want to be that ruthless team or they're just playing their brand of football and that's it. Like, but do you want to win or do you want to? Yeah, so I'm just going with Morocco. That's it. Yeah,
Devashish, Luis Enrique, is it the manager? Will he be able to, you know, put his tactics into work and get past this, really together Moroccan team?
Yeah, I think he will. I think he'll start with a false nine system with it will be Danny Olmo, Asensio, and maybe Ferran or maybe someone else. And
Hmm.
Morata will come in later to actually, just push the defense further back and create that space. And with the midfielders, they then have with the impact player, Morata might not be a good striker. He's a good impact player. That's why you should
Hmm.
start him. And then they also have got a stable defense. Laporte will be back alongside Rodri, who's been actually good at a centre back position. He'll be challenged more, which I always make a point. You need to be challenged to really see what they're made of. And I think they'll get it done. I think Luis and they got away with it. And now there is no time for resting players. So I think Spain will win that.
Next, we've got Croatia and Japan. Do you think
Interesting game. Very interesting.
Modric has it in him? Maybe one more quarterfinal, one more semi-final. What do you think, Devashish?
I think Modric does have in him, and he's one of the most like complete midfielders I've ever seen. He's complete, he's intelligent, his attitude is spot on, he's always there. But I think this Japan team is special, and they were special last World Cup as well. And Lukaku's composure of leaving the ball for Shadley in that moment was
mm.
that composure was so good that he couldn't keep
he,
composure in this World Cup.
he left
And
the
I
ball
think
again, but no place
yeah,
gained.
so I do see Croatia as a good unit, and another one of those where they do remind me of a good unit. They do play together. They don't have stars, but they do have together. And Modric just does everything so well. But I think it's gonna be Japan. I think Japan's intensity, I think Japan's speed, I think it's gonna catch them, and I think Japan will go through.
I feel
I just
like
think it's something about the Asian teams, man. This World Cup. I
mm.
know. I mean, I know I was ridiculed and made fun of when I said Mexico would go ahead of Poland because of non-footballing reasons, and that's because they're used to the temperature. But come on, bro, like this, the number of Asian teams that have done so well this tournament, something has to be related to that. I know there's like air conditioning in the stadium and all, which cancels out all that. But man, like on a serious note, like Asian teams have been really good this
Mhm.
tournament. I feel like the gap is slowly reducing because in the Japanese squad itself, you have so many players playing across the best leagues. You have so many players,
Exactly,
especially in the
yeah.
Bundesliga, like Ritsudoan and a number of the other players who are like
Kamada,
Tomiyasu
Daiki
for
Kamada.
Arsenal, Tomiyasu for
Tomiyasu,
Arsenal.
and he didn't even start in the final game. That's how
Yeah.
good Japanese squad looks right now. And I read the stat where the 16 of the players are
Hmm.
new. They didn't play in the last World Cup. So to
Hmm.
still have the same hunger and desire to do well is like really commendable. And I think for that very reason, I feel Japan could spring a surprise, but I think it's again a 50-50 call. You never know. Like Croatia still has
It's a
quality.
close game. It's one of the closest match in the
Yeah.
round of 16.
I feel in this game, I honestly feel like, I think against Spain, we saw Japan have the ability to play absolutely with like pretty much none of the ball. They had like, I think it's a record, they had only 17% possession of the ball. So they're really
Yeah.
comfortable, sitting back and soaking up pressure. And if you look at Croatia's attack, I feel like they really lack anyone with any real pace in the back line. So they won't be able to get, any runners in behind the back line. And I think, Japan will do what they did against Germany and against Spain, soak up the pressure and with their pacey wingers sort of just hit them on the break and catch them out. So I think again I sort of feel like Japan's gonna go through.
Yeah, and I think the next 20 years of football, Japan are one of the teams to look for. I've been following their federations work very closely because I follow the Indian Federation as well. So I follow the Asian federations as well a lot. And Japan are one of the most progressive federations. In the next 20 years, they are already a very good nation. They're making it to the the best 16 teams in the world and all of that. So, but I think they will get a lot closer to winning the World Cup around maybe 30, around maybe 2030. I think that will be the year. And in the next 20 years, a few in Asian teams will actually break out. Vietnam will break out. Just believe me. Wait for Vietnam. They're doing something special. Japan are already doing special. They're going to take it to another level. Hopefully, the third will be India, and I'll be a part of that whole federation as well. Hopefully, and I think I will. I'm good enough for that. So very soon
We
that will
will be
happen. But
talking
I'll
about you on this very channel.
yeah. So I think Japan. I think go through in that.
Perfect, guys. I think, yeah, now that brings us to the end of this episode. We've already recorded videos for Group A, B, C, and D. So don't forget to check those videos out. Like, share, and subscribe, and we'll catch you soon. Bye bye.